The Imperial Theater sat in the heart of Broadway. Marquee lights spelling out the name of the show, Enchanted Kingdom, a beloved production. Visual spectacle, costumes that shimmered under stage lights, sets that transported audiences to magical worlds, choreography that made people gasp. The kind of show everyone remembered, the kind the children begged to see. Eleanor Hartley stood in the lobby, 45 years old, CEO of Hartley Accessibility Technologies, $16 billion. She wore white, a designer suit tailored perfectly, diamond earrings, a watch that cost more than most people's cars. She looked like power, like someone who'd built empires, like someone who never failed. But she had failed, every single day for 8 years. Beside her stood her daughter, Iris, 8 years old, blonde hair pulled back with a velvet ribbon, pink dress, expensive, designer, chosen for this special occasion, her birthday, her first trip to the theater. Beautiful, intelligent, profoundly blind. Iris held her mother's hand, tight. Her other hand gripped a white cane. She'd been born without sight, congenital, complete darkness, no shapes, no light, no color, nothing. Eleanor had spent millions trying to change that. Specialists, experimental treatments, gene therapies, stem cell procedures, every cutting-edge option money could buy. Nothing worked, nothing helped. Iris remained in darkness. So Eleanor had learned to live with the weight, the guilt, the knowledge that her daughter would never see her face, never see a sunset, never see the world Eleanor had built. But today was different. Today was Iris's birthday, and Eleanor had bought tickets to Enchanted Kingdom, the best seats in the house, orchestra section, center, close enough to see every detail. Except Iris couldn't see any details, and Eleanor had never stopped to think about what that meant. They found their seats, row G, center orchestra, perfect view of the stage. Eleanor settled Iris into her seat. "Here we are, sweetheart. We have wonderful seats. You're going to love this." Iris nodded, quiet, trusting, excited because her mother was excited, not because she understood what was about to happen. Around them, the theater filled. Families, children, couples, everyone buzzing with anticipation. The lights dimmed, the audience quieted. The orchestra began, and Eleanor sat back, relaxed, ready to enjoy a show her daughter couldn't see. If you want stories that show you what real inclusion looks like, subscribe to Becca's Stories so these moments keep finding you on your timeline. The curtain rose. The stage exploded with color. Emerald green forests, golden castles, characters in costumes that sparkled under lights, movement, dance, visual storytelling. The audience gasped, applauded, laughed at the physical comedy, pointed at the elaborate sets. Iris sat very still, her hands folded in her lap, her face turned toward the stage, listening to music, hearing dialogue, catching some of the story, but missing everything else. The costumes, the choreography, the visual jokes, the expressions on actors' faces, the way light transformed the stage. She was present, physically, in the best seat money could buy, but she wasn't experiencing the show, not really. She was sitting in expensive darkness while the world around her saw magic. Eleanor glanced at her daughter, saw her sitting quietly, assumed she was enjoying herself. After all, she could hear the music, the dialogue. That was enough, wasn't it? 3 rows behind them, another family sat, a man and a boy, both casual. The man wore a yellow sweater, comfortable, not expensive, the kind of clothing people wore when they weren't trying to impress anyone. Owen Fletcher, 40 years old, architect, widower. He'd brought his son Emmett to the matinee. Same show, same excitement. Emmett was 10, red jacket, messy brown hair. He held a white cane, too, blind since birth, like Iris. But Emmett was smiling, leaning forward, engaged, because Owen was whispering, constantly, quietly, describing everything. The princess just entered from the left. She's wearing an emerald dress, floor length. It catches the light when she moves. She's spinning now, center stage. The spotlight follows her. It's golden, warm. The audience is gasping because she's so beautiful. Emmett grinned. What does her crown look like? Silver, delicate, with tiny crystals that sparkle like stars. Owen's hands moved too, touching Emmett's hands, showing him the spinning motion, the height of the crown, translating visual into tactile. This wasn't Owen's first time doing this. He'd been describing the world to Emmett for 10 years. Every movie, every play, every sunset, every moment that required sight. Because Emmett deserved to experience the world, not just exist in it. And if that meant Owen whispered for 2 hours straight, so be it. He glanced forward, saw another child, blonde, white cane propped beside her seat, sitting very still, very quiet. Too quiet. Owen recognized that stillness, that resigned patience. That's how Emmett used to sit, before Owen learned to describe, before Owen understood that bringing a blind child to visual events without adaptation wasn't a gift, it was torture. The little girl shifted, leaned toward her mother, whispered something. The mother, elegant, white suit, expensive jewelry, leaned down. Shh, sweetheart, just listen, enjoy the music. Just listen, as if music was enough, as if a child who'd never seen color could imagine emerald dresses and golden spotlights from dialogue alone. Owen's chest tightened. He knew that mother meant well, knew she'd probably spent a fortune on those tickets, knew she thought she was giving her daughter a special experience, but she wasn't. She was bringing her daughter to a visual feast and handing her crumbs. Emmett tugged Owen's sleeve. Dad, what's happening now? Owen pulled his attention back. The princess is climbing the tower. Stone walls, vines growing up the sides. He's reaching for the window. The princess is leaning out. Their hands are almost touching. Emmett held his breath, invested, experiencing the show through Owen's words. And 3 rows ahead, Iris sat in silence, missing everything. Intermission came. The lights rose. People stood, stretched, headed to the lobby for refreshments. Eleanor stood. I'm going to get water. Do you want anything, Iris? No, thank you, Mama. Eleanor walked away, leaving Iris alone in her seat, surrounded by sighted people discussing what they'd seen, laughing about visual jokes Iris hadn't caught, describing favorite moments Iris had missed. Iris sat very still, her hands gripping the armrests, her face carefully neutral. But inside, she was screaming. This was supposed to be special, her birthday, her first theater show, and she was sitting in the dark, like always, missing everything, like always. Owen noticed. He saw the little girl sitting alone, saw the tension in her small shoulders, the way she turned her face away from conversations she couldn't join. He made a decision. Maybe it wasn't his place. Maybe the mother would be angry, but he couldn't watch a blind child suffer through a show in silence, not when he knew how to help. He leaned forward, spoke gently. Excuse me. Hi, my name is Owen. My son Emmett and I are sitting behind you. Iris turned her face toward his voice. Hello. I noticed you have a white cane. Are you blind? Yes. Small voice, uncertain. Emmett is too, born without sight. Like you, I think. Iris nodded. Yes, I was born blind. This is your first time at the theater? Yes, it's my birthday. My mama brought me. Owen smiled. That's wonderful. Happy birthday. Are you enjoying the show? Iris hesitated. Then, quietly, I can hear the music and the talking, but I don't know what's happening. People keep laughing, and I don't know why. Owen's heart broke. "Would you like me to describe it for you, the second act, so you can experience what's happening visually?" Iris's face transformed. "You can do that? I do it for Emmett every show. I can do it for you too, if it's okay with your mom." "She's getting water, but yes, please, I want to know what's happening." When Eleanor returned, she found Owen kneeling beside Iris's seat, introducing himself, explaining that he'd like to describe the second act for Iris, if that was all right. Eleanor's first instinct was to refuse. This stranger, this man in a yellow sweater who probably couldn't afford orchestra seats, what did he know about her daughter's needs? But Iris's face stopped her. Her daughter looked hopeful, excited, more animated than she'd been all day. "Please, Mama," Iris said. "He describes things for his son. He said he can help me understand." Eleanor looked at Owen, really looked, saw kind eyes, a patient expression, a red-jacketed boy beside him holding a white cane. "All right," she said slowly, "if Iris wants that." "Thank you," Owen said. Then to Iris, "I'll whisper, so I don't bother other people, but I'll make sure you hear everything." The lights dimmed, the second act began, and Owen started describing, quietly, continuously, creating a visual world through words. "The stage is a ballroom now, crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. They're spinning slowly. The light reflects off them like diamonds. The floor is polished marble, black and white squares. The princess enters from the right. She's wearing a different dress now, midnight blue, with silver stars embroidered on the skirt. They catch the light when she walks. She looks nervous. Her hands are clasped together." Iris leaned back in her seat, listening, absorbing, for the first time in her life, experiencing a visual performance fully. The prince approaches. He's wearing a burgundy jacket, gold buttons. He bows, extends his hand. She hesitates. The audience is holding their breath. Then she takes his hand. They start to dance. Slow at first, a waltz. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The other dancers move aside, making space, watching them. The lights dim except for one spotlight, just on them. They're spinning, faster now. Her dress fans out like a flower. The music swells. It's beautiful. Emmett, beside Owen, was experiencing the show through the same description, but he'd heard Owen describe dozens of performances. This was familiar, comfortable. For Iris, it was revelation. This was what people saw. This was what she'd been missing. This was the magic everyone talked about. She smiled, really smiled, for the first time that day. And Eleanor, sitting beside her daughter, heard everything, every word Owen whispered, every detail he painted, every moment he translated from visual to verbal. And she realized something that made her stomach drop. She'd never done this, not once, in 8 years of taking Iris places, museums, parks, events. Eleanor had never described anything, never adapted experiences, never thought to ask, "What do you need to fully experience this?" She'd just brought Iris, physically, and assumed presence was enough. It wasn't. It had never been enough. Eleanor watched her daughter lean slightly toward Owen, hanging on every word, hungry for description, for inclusion, for someone who cared enough to translate the world. And Eleanor felt shame burn through her chest because a stranger in a yellow sweater was giving her daughter something Eleanor, with all her billions, all her resources, all her power, had never thought to provide. The show ended. The audience applauded, stood, cheering. Iris stood too, clapping, beaming. "Mama, that was amazing! The princess's dress was midnight blue with silver stars, and the chandelier spun and made diamond light, and the prince had gold buttons."
Eleanor's throat tightened. "You loved it?" "Yes, Mr. Owen described everything. I could see it in my mind. I could see it." Owen stood, started to gather his things, ready to leave quietly, his job done. But Eleanor stopped him. "Wait, please. I need to talk to you."
They stood in the lobby, Emmett and Iris comparing notes on their favorite moments, both animated, both included. Eleanor faced Owen, this stranger who'd done what she'd failed to do for 8 years. "Thank you," she said, voice thick, "for describing the show. Iris hasn't stopped talking about it." "She deserved to experience it," Owen said simply. "Every child does." "How long have you been doing this, describing things for your son?" "Since he was born, 10 years. My wife and I started immediately. She died 3 years ago, car accident. So now it's just me. But I kept doing it because Emmett deserves to experience the world, not just exist in it." Eleanor's composure cracked. "I've never done that, described things. I just bring her places. I thought being there was enough." Owen's expression was gentle, not judgmental. "A lot of parents think that, but being present physically isn't the same as being included experientially. Blind children need translation, description, adaptation. Otherwise, they're just sitting in darkness while everyone else experiences magic." "I run an accessibility technology company," Eleanor whispered. $16 billion. We develop software for disabled users. I've spent my career making the world more accessible, and I never thought to describe a sunset to my own daughter." Owen didn't say anything, just let her sit with that truth. "Why didn't I think of this? Why didn't any of the specialists tell me? The therapists, the teachers?" "Because most people focus on curing disability, not adapting to it. They want to fix blindness, not translate the visual world into something accessible. But blindness isn't broken, it's just different. And different needs adaptation, not treatment." Eleanor looked at her daughter, laughing with Emmett, comparing descriptions of the costumes, finally experiencing what sighted children took for granted. "I've failed her for 8 years. I've brought her to museums and never described the paintings, to parks and never described the flowers, to the ocean and never described the waves. I just put her in places and expected her to cope." "You didn't know," Owen said. "Now you do. That's what matters." "Will you teach me how to describe, how to adapt? I'll pay you whatever you want. I need to learn how to give my daughter the world." Owen shook his head. "I don't need money, Miss Hartley, but I'll teach you, for free, because Iris deserves a mother who knows how to translate the world for her, and because that's what my wife would have wanted. Amanda believed every blind child deserved full access to life, not half experiences." Eleanor wiped her eyes. "When can we start?" "Now. Let's walk outside. I'll show you how to describe the city." Over the following weeks, Owen taught Eleanor how to see the world through words. They started simple, walking through Central Park, Owen describing everything, Eleanor learning to notice details she'd always taken for granted. "The trees are oak, their leaves are turning gold and rust. When the wind blows, they sound like whispers. The path is lined with them, creating a tunnel of autumn color. The light filters through, dappled, dancing on the ground." Eleanor tried, awkwardly at first. The fountain, it's big?" Owen smiled. "Describe the water, the sound, the way it moves." Eleanor focused. "The water shoots up from the center, maybe 10 feet high. It splashes when it lands. The basin is circular, stone. The water is clear. You can see pennies at the bottom, people's wishes." Iris listened, absorbing, building a mental picture. "Better," said Owen. "Now the sculpture on top. An angel, bronze, green from age. Her wings are spread. She's holding something, a lily maybe. She faces east toward the sun." Iris smiled. "I can see her, Mama, in my mind. She's beautiful." Eleanor's heart swelled. Her daughter could see,
Not with eyes, but with words, with description, with a mother who'd finally learned to adapt. They went to museums, Owen teaching Eleanor how to describe paintings, not just a woman in blue, but a young woman, maybe 20, wearing a sapphire dress. She sits by a window, afternoon light on her face. She's reading a letter. Her expression is wistful, like she's missing someone. They went to the zoo, Eleanor describing animals in motion, colors, textures, behaviors. The peacock's tail is fanned out. Each feather has an eye pattern, blue and green and gold, iridescent. When he moves, the colors shift like oil on water. Iris absorbed everything, finally accessing a world she'd been locked out of. And Eleanor transformed, learned to pay attention, to see details, to understand that adaptation wasn't accommodation, it was love. She hired Owen as a consultant, not for money, he refused salary, but to help her company develop better accessibility tools, audio description software, AI that could describe visual content in real time. She funded programs, theaters across the country, audio description for every show, trained describers, free access for blind patrons. She created the Amanda Fletcher Memorial Initiative in honor of Owen's late wife, $20 million, training describers, funding accessible arts programs, making sure blind children could experience culture fully. And every week, the four of them, Eleanor, Iris, Owen, and Emmett, went somewhere together. Museums, parks, shows, concerts. Eleanor described, Owen coached, the children experienced, together. Chosen family, built through adaptation, sustained through inclusion.
6 months after that first theater trip, they returned to the Imperial Theater. Enchanted Kingdom was still running, still beloved. But this time, Eleanor had requested audio description headsets, professional, available for all blind patrons, funded by her foundation. They sat in the same seats, orchestra center, row G, but everything was different. Iris wore her headset, but she didn't need it because Eleanor described everything, quietly, lovingly, completely. The curtain is rising. The stage is a forest, deep green, ancient trees with thick trunks, vines hanging down, mist rolling across the ground. Blue-tinted lights make it feel magical. Early morning. A deer crosses upstage, graceful. It pauses, looks at the audience, then disappears into the wings. Iris smiled, squeezed her mother's hand. "I can see it, Mama." "You can see it," Eleanor whispered back. "You can see everything." Owen and Emmett sat behind them, Owen still describing for Emmett, but now he didn't have to describe for Iris. Her mother had learned, had transformed, had finally understood what inclusion actually meant. At intermission, Iris turned to her mother. "This is the best birthday gift ever." "Your birthday was 6 months ago, sweetheart." "I know, but this, you describing, this is the real gift. Not the show, not the tickets. You, seeing the world for me, translating it, making it mine." Eleanor pulled her daughter close. "I'm sorry it took me so long to learn." "You learned," Iris said. "That's what matters." After the show, Eleanor stood in the lobby with Owen, watching their children compare notes, laughing, included, whole. "Thank you," Eleanor said, "for the 100th time, for teaching me, for showing me what I was missing." "You did the work," Owen replied. "You learned, you adapted, you changed. That's on you. I built a $16 billion empire on accessibility, and a man in a yellow sweater taught me what accessibility actually means." Owen smiled. "It's not about ramps and software, though those matter. It's about seeing people, really seeing them, understanding what they need to fully experience the world, and caring enough to provide it." "Adaptation is love," Eleanor said softly. "Yes," Owen agreed, "exactly that." 2 years later, the Hartley Accessibility Technologies empire had transformed. No longer just software, now training, education, cultural programs, audio description, tactile experiences, full inclusion. The Amanda Fletcher Memorial Initiative had trained 300 professional describers, funded accessible programs in 40 states, changed how thousands of blind children experienced culture. And Eleanor had become an advocate, speaking at conferences, teaching other parents, sharing her story. I thought bringing my blind daughter to the theater was inclusion. It wasn't. It was torture. Real inclusion is adaptation, description, translation. It's learning to see the world through their needs, not ours. Iris thrived. Mainstream school, friends, confidence. She still couldn't see with her eyes, but she saw the world through her mother's words, through Owen's teaching, through a community that had learned to adapt. And every month, the four of them went somewhere new, always together, always describing, always including. One evening, sitting in Eleanor's living room after a museum trip, Iris asked, "Mama, what do I look like?" Eleanor smiled. She'd learned how to answer this question, how to describe her own daughter in a way that created a picture. "You're 8 years old, but you'll be 9 soon. Your hair is blonde, the color of honey, pale gold. It's long, down to your shoulders, straight, soft. You have a small nose, slightly turned up at the end. Your eyes are blue, like the ocean on a sunny day, clear, bright. They don't see, but they're beautiful. Your smile is wide. When you laugh, your whole face lights up. You're small for your age, delicate, but strong, so strong." Iris absorbed every word, building a mental image of herself. "Do I look like you?" "A little. You have my nose, my smile, but you have your father's eyes, his hair color. You're the best of both of us." "I wish I could see you," Iris whispered. "I know, sweetheart, but you know me, through touch, through sound, through the words I use, through the way I describe the world to you. You know me better than most sighted people know their parents, because we pay attention, really pay attention." Iris nodded. "Mr. Owen says adaptation is love." "He's right. And you love me because you learned to adapt." "I love you," Eleanor confirmed. "And yes, learning to adapt, to describe, to translate, to include, that's how I show it now." Across the room, Owen and Emmett sat together, father and son, teacher and student, family. Eleanor caught Owen's eye, mouthed, "Thank you." He nodded, smiled. "You're welcome." Because sometimes the people we dismiss as beneath us, the man in the yellow sweater with the casual clothes and the modest life, are the ones who teach us what really matters. Sometimes miracles aren't treatments or cures. They're words, descriptions, translations. They're fathers who whisper for 2 hours straight so their sons can experience magic. Sometimes inclusion isn't presence, it's adaptation. It's caring enough to translate the world, to see through someone else's needs, to provide access not just physically, but experientially. And sometimes, the greatest gift we can give our children isn't money or status or expensive seats at the theater. It's seeing them, really seeing them, understanding what they need and loving them enough to learn how to provide it, even if it takes a stranger to teach us how.
Real inclusion isn't just bringing someone to the show. It's making sure they experience the show. It's adaptation, description, translation. It's a father in a yellow sweater whispering for 2 hours because his son deserves to see the world through words. Subscribe to Becca's Stories because your support helps us create moments that remind you presence without adaptation is exclusion. Love is learning to translate the world. Tell us, what's one word that captures how this story made you feel? And where are you watching from? Your voices create this community, and we're grateful you're here.